Hey everybody, welcome. Today I've got an interesting topic, two interesting topics for you tonight. Online learning, online courses, and passive income, the myth of passive income. Can you use online courses to create this passive income, generating income without putting a lot of effort into it or no effort? I'm going to talk about the myths surrounding that, a lot of misconceptions, and I also wanted to share, based on some discussions I've been having with people outside and talking about online learning, online courses, why are a lot of students, why do they leave? What keeps students, and also what makes them sign up and decide, I'm not doing this again, I'm not doing online courses again, or they're not doing your online course again. So those are two things I want to be talking about today. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Erica Boling. I am the owner and founder of Northeast Canine Conditioning. I love helping people take their sport dogs, their working dogs, and turning them into elite canine athletes. And I have a couple other passions I have, such as helping people develop, looking at their own passions, identifying their own passions, and how do you turn that into income and profit. And I really like helping people start up and expanding their businesses. In particular, I love looking at how you can take technology, use online programs, technology, multimedia, and enhance your online business or your face-to-face business by bringing in some online components. So today's topic is going to be touching upon, if you're a canine professional, it doesn't even have to be a canine professional. It could be any other kind of professional out there. If you have knowledge and expertise, services, if you have things that you can share and educate other people online, you can benefit from this topic too. So I'm going to jump right in here. And I also want to say this topic, if you have an interest in whether you have a face-to-face business and you're wanting to add value by adding online components, whether it's doing live videos, doing a resource library, a video library, to online, full online courses. If this is a topic that interests you, I recently started up a free Facebook group. And if you go to Facebook, you can search it, but it's Canine Business Secrets for Online Success. So if this is a topic that interests you, if you're already in the group, great, say hello, let me know. But if you're not in the group, if this is a topic that interests you, make sure you come over and join us. So passive income. What is passive income? I know a lot of people think of passive income as kind of that, it's that income, the money that you will have coming in with putting very little to no work. When you hear these stories where people talk about they're making money in their sleep, right? They wake up and they open their bank account and there's all this money in it. Okay. So I find there's a misconception here. I see that a lot of people are drawn to online classes and online programs as a business owner because they think it can do this. It can make their life easier. It definitely can. It can make things more flexible. And the flexibility, and you can reach a wider audience. You can reach a really wide audience without as much work as if you're doing face-to-face. You can reach an audience you could never even reach if you were relying just on face-to-face. There's definite advantages to doing online programs and online classes. The challenge here is, and I've got a lot of years with online, at the university, creating online courses, creating online programs, teaching online. And I can tell you, it's a very common belief that people think creating the courses, offering the courses, and taking them as a student is easier than it actually is. So I find that a lot of people are very attracted to this and doing online programs because they think, okay, I'm just going to create this online program. I'm going to develop a really good program, and then it's just going to run itself. And it's going to just, once the course is created, it's going to just start bringing in this passive income. All the work comes up front. And once the course is created, you don't have to do any work. You just put it out there, have an automated, kind of marketing system going, a funnel system, and you're just going to sell it. And I would say for a very, very small percentage of people, the very lucky ones, a lot of times it's people who already have a really big name out there in their field, this can happen. But I'll tell you what happens more often than not is you put a lot of energy into creating that program. You put a lot of time, and it's normally more work than you think. But once that program's created and it's out there, yes, you don't have to put all this energy into designing the program, but there's other work to be had. There's other energy you have to put into marketing the program continually. If you want it to be, evergreen, you want this program to be out there and keep bringing in students, you have to keep, some kind of a marketing strategy, and you have to keep updating, marketing strategies and online, social media, online marketing. It's always changing. And so the strategy you're using to sell your online course, 6 months after creating it versus what you're doing a year after creating it, or a year and a half, 2 years after creating it, usually if you want to keep bringing in new clients, it takes a lot of work. So maybe the course is created, but then you have to, I tell you, I have a number of courses already created, but I put a lot of time into bringing in clients, building awareness, getting on the internet so people even know that it exists. So there's a couple misconceptions here that once that course is created, it's just going to start generating all of this passive income. It's just going to start bringing the money in, and you don't have to work. And I find in a lot of the cases that's not true. The work shifts and your energy shifts, but it's very rare that once it's created, you don't have to do anything at all. And I also find another misconception that I find is that people, they put all their energy thinking about the program they're designing, and they don't put enough thought into the marketing and building awareness that you have this really amazing program. So what happens is, if you have this awesome program, it could be one of a kind. You can have the most amazing program out there. But if people don't know it exists, you're not going to get any clients. Or if you only market it to your immediate community, let's say you have a Facebook following of 3,000 people. And you market it, you sell it to that 3,000 people. Well, eventually those people, the ones who really want to take it, they would have taken it. And the ones who aren't going to take it, they're not going to take it. And eventually you're going to have to hit another market. You're going to have to reach a broader market. So those are some of the things that I find that have been some misconceptions. There's a lot of other things on there. And I see Michael and Angie, thanks for joining us. I'd love to hear also if any of you have been involved in either taking an online course or creating an online course or teaching one, maybe what your initial thoughts were, and then when you actually did it, the reality of it. I know for a fact a lot of the students, when I teach online courses at the universities, the students will do an online course and they think, oh, I'm going to do an online course because it's easy. And then they get in, and it's not uncommon, depending on the structure of the course, that sometimes because they have to be on their weekly or they have more accountability, if you have an assessment system, it can actually require more work and more time for both instructor and the students. I know that when people think about the passive income and they think about, kind of having this evergreen course, the course that just kind of keeps running and it kind of runs by itself, you have video-based instruction, there's some other misconceptions around that I wanted to talk about. So when you're looking at, this idea of this passive income, I just want to reiterate, it's great. It could be a great income source. It can give you great flexibility. Yes, you can make money in your sleep, right? There's a lot of hard work when you're developing the program, but I just want to warn you, once you have this amazing program created, you still have work to do. It's in another area. It's in building awareness, building out that following, people out on the social media, having those followers, those raving fans, and spreading the word and getting those clients. And then usually what happens is if it's a brand new course and you have your followers, they all get excited. And the first couple times you offer it, you don't have any problem. If you're lucky, you don't have any problem getting clients. But then, like I said, if you don't keep trying to look at expanding and reaching a broader audience, you're going to kind of, that crowd, you're going to use them up. And then, then you have a profitable course for maybe a couple years, 1 year, 2 years, but then where are you going to get your clients? So those are some of the things that I see, some of the myths and some of the misconceptions about online programs. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is once you get the clients, once you get the students into the program, what do we know? And I've done a lot of research around this. What do we know research-wise? What makes online students happy? What do they like? What makes them stay? What makes them leave? And some of the research around this, there's a huge thing around social presence. We know that students are happier, they learn better, they're more likely to come back, they're more likely to complete the course, is if there's some social presence there, that they're not just left, completely on their own. There's not this sense of being a part of a community. And this is another, like I said, this is another thing that I see common when people when they create online courses, yes, you can create an online course and just have these standalone videos. But when we look at what we know about learners, teaching, how people learn best, the learner experience and what learners like, what gives them a very, they've done research on people's experiences in their online courses, and then when they finish, do they have good feelings about the course? Do they reflect back and say, that was an awesome experience? And the ones that have a really good experience, the ones that have a good learning experience, they learn more, but they feel better about taking the course. It's the ones that have that aspect. There's this social presence and a teacher presence. And what happens is when you don't have that, what you'll find is this idea of this kind of social isolation. So you're really motivated, you jump in, you start taking the videos, you start getting engaged in the program. And what typically happens, people get really excited at the beginning, they're really motivated, but then the motivation drops off and they disappear or they don't complete the program. And we know, statistically, with online programs, there's a very low percentage of people normally who complete, once they start it, who actually complete it. And a lot of this, well, not everything, but there is this aspect of this social presence and this having this connection with other people, a community, that motivation to keep going. And so they'll come in, they'll sign up, but are they actually completing the course? And if you're going to offer a variety of courses, you want them to complete the course, because the easiest client for you to get is a client that you already have. They're happy with you, and then they're the first ones to reinvest and purchase your next program. So if you don't keep them happy in the first course, and if they don't complete the first course, chances are they're not going to sign up for your next course. So those are some of the things. And like I said, there's research that supports this. We know for a fact these are things that can contribute to the learner having a good experience, them, looking back, enjoying the class, completing the class, and staying in the class. So when we look at social presence, how can you do that in an online course? Well, what I'm doing right now, doing like a Facebook Live video, here is social presence, right? You can see me, you can hear me. Here's Kate saying, "Hey, good evening, Eric. I hope your long drive was uneventful." I can, converse back and forth, and I see Angie's in here, right? So you see me, you hear me. There is a social presence. You see people posting comments. There's a lot of ways you can do this in an online course. You can do it. Just having a picture of yourself. If you don't do video, having a picture, there's more social presence than if it's all text-based. Doing a video, of course, doing live video, interacting with your audience, that provides social presence. If you can't do a live video, even having a pre-recorded video. At the university, when I do pre-recorded videos, my online students are so used to going and taking university classes, online classes, and they're all text-based. You read a book, you write an answer. You read a book, you write in the discussion forum. And I bring a lot of videos into my online courses, and my students love it. They said it feels like a real class. They feel like they get to know me. And I have my students make videos. The students make videos, or they'll do just audio recordings. And so now they can hear each other's voices. They'll put pictures of each other so that you can see each other. There's so many ways with multimedia today. There's so many easy ways to build this social presence. And you don't have to be live all the time. You don't have to be there interacting, one-on-one live, but there's other ways you can build it into the program to have some interactivity so that they get to know, who are you? What are you about? They get to see you and, engage with you. And so this makes it challenging with this concept that I'm going to just create a course, throw it online and leave it alone, and my students are going to be just keep, like machines. They're just going to go through it on their own. Yes, they can. Yes, some complete it. But if you really want to have students that are just raving fans, ones that are like committed, super excited, they're going to all their friends saying they got to take the course, you're more likely to have that increased positive interaction, that kind of response. Students completing the course, you're more likely to have it if you're engaged and you bring in the social presence and you build in some sense of community. and you give them opportunities to interact. And yes, we can learn. I can watch a video and I can learn from a video and not interact with anybody, right? I can pick up a book and I can read and I can learn. But we know the way how we learn, we are social creatures. If you take what you watch in a video or you take what you read in a book, and if you engage with another person around that topic, you're going to learn it even better. It's going to stick with you. It's going to resonate with you. It's going to be a more meaningful learning experience. So when you think about what kind of courses do you want to have and what kind of learner experience do you want and how do you want them feeling when they leave your program, I would highly encourage you to think about, where is this social presence? Is there community building? Where do the students get to know each other? Where do they get to know you? This is really important. And, Conchetta says we're also social creatures, and it helps us. And I know I've got friends and they're like antisocial. They're like, I don't want to interact with people. I just want to train dogs. But if you get in the right community, if you have the right, like-minded people, you have a supportive community. Yes, we have people and they're like, I prefer to study on my own. I prefer to do this on my own. But what I'm saying is, when you look at, if you're really interested in learning, you want your students to learn, there are so many advantages to building in the social presence, some aspect of community, or a sense of community, so they feel like they're not on their own. They're not isolated. They're not having the social isolation where they're like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna, watch my video today. Like, where's that accountability to come back, to follow through, to implement the things that you're learning? Angie says training dogs is all about training the people, especially if you want to see some kind of, follow through, right? So you don't send the dog home and then everything just goes to disaster. So those are, definitely some things to be thinking about. Now, a couple other things, I had a couple other little bulleted points on here. When it comes to social presence, another thing, this is really important. This is huge. Immediacy. When a student has a question, when they post a comment, when they complete a course, a lesson, and there's supposed to be some kind of follow-up, there's this sense of immediacy. And the sooner that there's some kind of feedback, there's an answer, there's a response, like it's going to help the whole user experience. One of the worst things you can do is, if somebody's sending you a question or they're posting something in social media and they have a question and nobody acknowledges it, or, it's months later. I did an online program and they had a discussion board. And I thought, oh, great. I can go in and we can go in and ask questions. And I went on the discussion board and I had some questions. I started posting some questions and other people were posting questions. And I looked, people would ask questions and it would be 3 months later. Nobody answered. Nobody answered any of the questions, or 1 out of every 15 questions was answered. And so this is huge. If you want the motivation in your clients and your students to drop, if you want them to get, their motivation to drop, to go back and watch another video or do the next activity, or if you're wanting them to post later, that's one of the quickest way to just kind of squelch that interaction, is not having a sense of more of this immediacy. And I tell you, when somebody sends you an email and, it's not taking 5 days, 7 days to get back, or somebody posts a question and they're not having to wait 2 weeks for a response, like, they notice that, they appreciate that whenever they have that immediacy. So that is definitely something to be thinking about. And I'm looking here to see if there's any. One of the things also with immediacy, and this is something, so we've got immediacy, the intimacy. We know if you build that community, you're responding. They can have accountability with the other classmates, right? Other people in the program. That's going to help build that community. And I'll tell you, you don't have to do everything yourself. So when we look at social presence, we look at immediacy, and we look at building this intimacy and this community in the classroom. It doesn't mean that you have to be the one doing everything. So I do a lot of situations where I, might encourage students to, help each other, to share things and support one another. Sometimes when I have students sharing on a discussion forum or on a thread, and somebody asks a question, sometimes I specifically will wait, because if the instructor interjects themselves, sometimes people think, oh, the instructor has the answer. When you go in and you post your answer, it's not that unusual that other people, they're not going to start throwing in all their ideas, because you're seen as kind of like that knowledgeable one. You're teaching them. So sometimes I'll hold back so that my students can support one another and engage in conversations with each other. And if I give them that space and support them, they're going to be engaging and speaking up more than if I jump in every single time. Then they're going to be thinking, okay, we're just going to wait and listen for Erica to answer. And I tell you, the power is not, yes, I can answer and I can help educate. But when you get a group of people together with various experiences, when they all share and they all contribute, the learning just explodes. And it doesn't mean that everything is coming off your shoulders. You don't have to do every single thing. You don't have to be in that Facebook group, 2 hours every night. But it's all about building that community. And it's also about building trust. Building trust is huge. And this goes back to this passive income. My course is created, right? My course is created. I'm selling it online. I'll tell you right now, unless it's maybe about a $12 course, I'm not going to hand over hundreds of dollars to somebody and give them my credit card if I have no idea who they are. I don't know their trustworthiness. I don't know what kind of experience people have had with them, right? So a lot of the work that you put into, once the course is created, you need to get out there and you need to start building trust. You need to have people start to know, who is this instructor? What does she know? What is she like? I'm sure you've had instructors sometime, and their personalities rub you the wrong way, right? They might be the most knowledgeable person out there, but their personality, it just clashes. Like you just can't even stand the way they talk. I hope nobody watching me right now is thinking that about me, but it's a fact of life. So getting out there, advertising, being in social media, marketing, people are starting to see you. They're hearing you. You might do some free webinars. They're starting to get to know you. They're starting to interact with you. You're building trust. You're starting to build faith, and you're starting to build a following. So yes, your online course can be done. Yes, it can be an evergreen course that just runs on itself. But be careful, because do you have a system in place? Do you have a strategy in place to keep trying to bring in a new audience, to keep bringing in new clients? And also, if you have that online course that's running by itself, where does the social presence fit in? Where does that sense of, preventing and are they feeling isolated? Is that program running on its own? But are your students feeling very isolated? Are they feeling like, what if they're struggling? Do they have somewhere to go, right? What if they have a question? Can they reach out? Where is that support system? Where is that sense of that kind of that intimacy with other people, with other humans, right? And building that sense of community. Because like I said, we know people have a better learning experience. They have a more positive learning experience when they have this sense of social presence. So you got to be careful. There's these great, amazing things with online technologies, online courses, evergreen programs, but be careful not to fall into thinking, I'm just going to develop this course. I'm going to have this kick-ass course, and it's just going to be this, magnet of generating money, passive income, and I don't have to do anything, right? So I'm just saying there is stuff that has to be done if you really want to keep it going. Now, I do want to say this, though, because some people are going, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. It could be something, you might have a large group of students and, maybe you do a Q&A once every couple of weeks. Maybe you put them in a Facebook group and you model to them how to support one another. So like I said, it doesn't mean there's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of ways and a lot of formats and structures that you can do this. and it's too much for me to go in right now in just a 30-minute, live chat with you. But there are a lot of ways that you can structure this, that you can indeed handle a large number of students. There are ways to take hundreds of students and still give them that very personal, intimate experience. It is possible. And another thing to be thinking about is, I know a lot of people are thinking about creating some online programs and you're like selling it for $20, $30, $40, $50. But if you start adding in Q&A and live sessions and, community support and all of that, you're adding a lot more value. And there is a rationale for having higher prices also. They're going to get more for their money. They're going to get more value. So you're putting more investment, more time, you're putting more support structures in place, but it also pays out. You might have fewer students, but they're paying more money. And in the end, it balances out, or you can actually be doing much, much better by having a higher quality program, a higher quality course. Maybe you have not as many students, but when they come out, they have a much more positive experience. And if you have some kind of support in place and you have that sense of support, that sense of social presence, they're more likely to actually stay committed and motivated to finish your program. And then there you go. Now you're ready to design and sell your next program to them. And then your third and your fourth, or, offer a different type of program. So those are some things I wanted to share. And I'm looking if you guys have any questions. And if you're watching the replay, you guys can always put questions. I'll go back. And also, let me put this Facebook group up, because a lot of these conversations will continue in my, it's a free Facebook group you can join, Canine Business Secrets for Online Success. If you want to join us, there'll be ongoing conversations, and we already have a lot of people sharing some great ideas and resources and technologies. There's so much information to work through, but there's a community right there that you can join. I also want to say one more thing, because I'm seeing a lot of conversations about technology, like, what program do you use this? What program do you use for that? Don't get so caught up. Don't spend a lot of these online programs. Most of them do very similar things. Some of them, the differences are minute. The differences might be how much money you're spending, how much money they take, what percentage they take per student. Some of the tools might be a little bit different, but I'll tell you what's gonna make or break your program. If you have just a decent platform is a proven platform that's trustworthy, it doesn't matter if it's teachable. It doesn't matter if it's Thinkific. It doesn't matter if you're on Kajabi. Like, choosing Kajabi over Teachable over Thinkific, if you don't know, these are all different online platforms for hosting your courses, right? Choosing Thinkable over Teachable, or whatever, Thinkific, choosing one or the other, that's not gonna make your course. If you go, I chose Kajabi instead of this, and now my course sucks. Like, it's not the platform. As long as you have a reliable platform, that has some basic features, it's not the platform that's going to make or break your course. It's going to be the content. It's going to be, do you know your stuff? Are you trustworthy? Do they believe in you? And are you giving them value, good value for their money? And then on top of that, are you putting them in an environment that's motivating? They have a sense of accountability, a follow through, and a community. If you can have that on top of the rest, you got it aced. But don't spend so much time. At some point, you have to make a decision. Do your research, but don't get so stressed over all these different platforms. Which one are you going to choose, right? Because get over that hump, make your decision. Make sure it's an established company that's been around. Ideally, you wouldn't want to do something that just started, 6 months ago. I personally like to see a history of some proven success. So I like to see how many courses, what kind of numbers do they have? How long have they been in business? And then, user experience, and of course, cost. What can you afford? But don't stress so much. Do your research, do your comparisons, make a decision. Don't look back and move forward. And if you find out that something better comes along the way, you switch your platform. I've done that 2-3 times for various reasons. It just made me better every time. But don't stress so much over which tool you use, because you can have 10 different tools that do the same thing. They only do it a little bit differently. So again, on Canine Business Secrets for Online Success is my group. It's a Facebook group. If you're watching this elsewhere, it's a Facebook group. You can request to join. It's a free group. And just a reminder, you guys, I'm going to be doing soon some applications for my mastermind group. For those of you who really want some, ongoing support, that built-in community, whether it's weekly support and also one-on-one support. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll be sending out more information. So I'm just looking here to see if we had any, depending on where you're posting comments, sometimes they don't show up on my screen, but, yeah, Kate did, yes, content integrity and the time you put in are the most important factors. Yeah, quality, you want quality. You want quality, integrity, trust, and value. You want people to feel like they got their money's worth. You want to wow them with and feel like they got more than what they expected. See, I'm just reading through the comments here. Yeah, Kate's just sharing some of her experiences with getting feedback, getting back to clients. You guys know this, but it's also true with online courses, right? Yeah, Angie says, during and after the course, her students want and need immediate feedback. She's still responding to emails and Facebook posts with your students' follow-up. Yeah, one thing that's sometimes what you need to do with your students is you need to kind of set standards. Be careful. If you start giving feedback like within 24 hours, and students are going to start expecting 24 hours, and then they start to get like, she didn't, it's 48 hours later, she didn't answer me. So just be careful. You might want to set, I'm in a Facebook group. I did an online course in a Facebook group, and the instructor she said, listen, you guys, I'm here during the week. I'll answer questions. I'll help as much, but my weekends are my weekends. If you post a question on a weekend, I'll get back to you on Monday. Okay. She was straight up. She said, here it is. And that's great. So that way I know if I post a question on a Saturday, I'm not going to hear from her for a few days. So just be careful. Be careful with that, and be careful the standard and the expectations, because if you have a small class, quick turnaround is fine. You might have a class and you'll say, listen, if you got a question, every Tuesday night, I'm going to go online and I'm going to be answering your questions, once a week or whatever. But think about your own workload, what you can manage. I'm not saying you have to be glued to your computer. I'm not saying you have to be there, hours and hours interacting with your students. But I'm just saying somewhere within that system, whether it's students answering questions amongst each other, building a space for them to ask with each other, to you doing a Q&A once a month, a live Q&A so they can see you and they can interact with you. These are like I said, there's a lot of strategies and a lot of ways to do this. Probably the first thing you're thinking is, oh my God, I don't have time to do this. But there are there's different technological structures in place, things in the technology programs that you use. And there's also ways that you can design your programs. Like I said, there are ways you can have large numbers of students, and you can give them this personal sense of having that connection with you without having to be connected to your computer 24/7. You don't have to. But just keep that in mind. Set those expectations, because be careful, because I'm always one, I try to get back as soon as I can. But if I do it all the time, my students start to get in a habit and they expect it. And then if I'm a little bit late, I kind of broke my pattern and they're not used to that. And, anybody else any other professor at the university, they might be waiting a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And because I set this higher standard, just be clear to them what to expect. And especially when you start getting more engagement and more students, just be clear. And if you're getting overwhelmed, revisit the structure, revisit the format, the expectations. And you might say, listen, I'm not going to answer questions on the weekends, or, on Mondays and Fridays is when I'll be on Facebook, whatever. You might have to, let them know, especially if you're building up those numbers. So I'm just looking in here one more. If I missed your question, I will go back. I'm trying. It's kind of hard to go through and do all this at the same time. So I just want to say, if I missed your comment or question, I will go back. Let me just add this. So Michael said, that's cool. You can go back and highlight comments. Just so you guys know, I'm doing a Facebook Live, but I'm using a program called Be Live TV, BELIVE, Be Live TV. It gets a little quirky sometimes. It doesn't always work 100%, but if you're interested in this platform that I'm using and how I can bring up those comments, it's called Be Live TV. So all right, you guys, I think I covered everything. I actually went over more than I'd planned to today. Again, if you want to jump on board, if you're not a member of a community yet, or even if you're still looking for more information, sources, information, questions, it's Canine Business Secrets for Online Success is my Facebook group. I'll be doing more opportunities. I just did a series of 4 videos the other day, this past week. There'll be other opportunities to learn from me and to engage with other people, very knowledgeable people in that group sharing. And also every Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on my business page, Northeast Canine Conditioning is where you'll find me. I usually kind of alternate. Sometimes I talk about canine fitness, and sometimes I talk about the business side of the canine world. So because I just opened up my Facebook group on the business side, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that today. So if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. If you're here live, the replay will be available. I like to put it up on LinkedIn and YouTube. So wherever you're watching it, that's great. If any of this was helpful, if any of these comments or tips, if any of the feedback and things, if you thought any piece of this was helpful and you think somebody else would benefit, please feel free to forward it. Send the video, pass it along, paste, copy the URL and throw it in an email. Definitely feel free to share, not a problem. And also invite your friends or colleagues. If you have people that you know are interested in this topic, invite them to Canine Business Secrets for Online Success. The more people we have in there who have an interest in the topic, people who are sharing their experiences, they're using different platforms, we can really learn from each other. There's so much to learn, so much to learn. It can be very overwhelming. So join a community, join us. Jason said he just started using Be Live TV and really like it. I've had my ups and downs. They're having growing pains lately. I've been really happy with them. But even when they had growing pains, because there's so much potential, I like the program, I've stuck with it. But just so you know, when it's technology, you expect for things to have hiccups. You expect it. And don't get, all upset if things just don't work. The other day, my audio was horrendous and I deleted the whole video. So don't stress over it. All right, you guys, I'm going to be logging off. Would love to hear your thoughts, your experiences. Jump on over, join us in the Facebook group, share your experiences so we can learn from you, ask questions so we can help each other out. And stay tuned. I'm going to be having a lot more opportunities of sharing and growing, and whatever level of support you want, I can support you. Or if it's some area where I can't help you, there are going to be people in our group that can direct you to the right area. So have a great rest of the week. Again, Fridays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. My business page, Northeast Canine Conditioning, on my Facebook business page. If you want to catch me live when I do these, ask questions, engage, come join us. And I hope that I will see you guys there next week. Bye-bye for now.